Okay, so roadies are...
Yeah, groupies are the ones that do other stuff with the band.
Okay. All right, welcome everyone to episode 51. This is the Pickleball Effect Podcast. I'm Braydon.
And I'm Kyle.
Thanks for everyone who participated in the episode 50 giveaway. Congrats to dadbod.panda.
It's the best.
That was our winner.
Yep, dadbod.panda.
That might sound like we selected it based off of their handle, but it wasn't. It was random.
Yeah.
And they won.
Well, no, because that was his Instagram handle. His YouTube handle was like Austin or something.
Austin.
It's like something boring.
Well, congrats to Austin. We'll get you all that stuff out this week. Get you connected with Pickleball Central for your $250 gift card.
Boom.
Again, thanks to Pickleball Central. It was really generous of them. If you didn't win and you want something off Pickleball Central, code 10effect will give you 10% off pretty much everything they have.
Except proton paddles.
Except proton. They don't. I thought they did.
You have to get a specific code.
Do you have a specific code?
I do. But
give it to us.
Pro-Think Smash.
That's not just your normal code?
No, so your normal code doesn't work for proton paddles. So I had to actually contact them and be like, hey, can I get a code for proton paddles?
Oh, funny. I didn't know that was a thing.
Yeah. I don't know why they do that, but they've been doing some weird code stuff. We still love you, but they're doing some weird code stuff.
Okay, well, we'll let them do their weird code stuff. And then before we jump into the rest, we'll give a shout out to this week's title sponsor, Pick Performance Plus.
From No Apologies Nutrition. So, electrolytes, caffeine, was it 100 milligrams caffeine, B12 vitamins, you're getting your pickle science in here. So they're using that like vinegar and stuff from the pickles to prevent cramping. I actually used this yesterday before my bench press day.
Dude, you've had a couple of funny videos this week with your workout.
I know.
How much does Braydon weigh? Probably like 185. Then you just freaking shoulder press it, dude.
Somebody on Discord was like, did you play football? Because that shoulder press was kind of scary. Like, yeah, I played football. Like,
it was super impressive.
That was funny. But
I wish I weighed 185 though. I'm only 165. 170 is my goal right now.
Okay.
Someday, in my dreams.
I'm gonna touch on that. Are you still training with
with Connor Derrickson? Yeah, I'm still doing his stuff, still following his program. It's been so nice just having a program outlined for me and not have to think about it. I just show up, work out. It gives me like a variety of stuff, and it's been really good. I have gained a little bit of weight. It's slowly. I've started eating more. I've started doing more supplements. I think that's been part of it. And so
creatine.
Yeah, I got creatine pumping. But yeah, things are moving.
Nice. I've been in the gym a lot more lately too. What's funny is I'm the same way. I got like a program now, so it's so much easier for me if like I have something that I'm like, all right, I'm doing this and this today.
Dude, it makes it so much
Otherwise
easier.
I go in there and I'm like,
anything I can take brain power off of my life is fantastic.
Yeah, I think that's just dads. Like there's so much going on that we're like, just give it to us.
I know,
like,
right?
Give me a list.
But yeah, I've used it for pre-workouts too. And then I take it almost every time before I play, especially in the mornings. But yeah, use code PEPOD, link in the description.
They're on sale right now, and our code stacks. So now's a good time to grab it.
Yeah, go try it out if you haven't done it yet.
If your local Flying Pickle has individual packets as well, so you can go try an individual packet before you commit to buying the full Monty.
And then I wanted to go through some of our favorite dad jokes from the giveaway.
There were some good ones.
There were some really good ones.
You guys did not fail.
No, you guys went to town on it. It was fantastic. I had so much fun reading through the comments. So I had 3 categories. I got best PB related one, got the most original, and then just I threw in my favorite. So we'll alternate these. I'll go with the first one.
Okay.
The best PB related one was why did the pickleball break up with tennis? It couldn't handle all the strings attached.
That was a good one. I think I saw a couple like tennis pickleball ones.
Yeah. That one actually came up like 2 or 3 times.
That's good. All right. The most original. Why are you asking for dad jokes? Are you trying to start a database?
That was pretty clever.
Yeah, especially with you.
That was good.
That works good because of the paddle database.
That was the most original. And then my favorite was, you're already laughing?
Go ahead.
Kyle said he didn't see this one before I plopped it in here. All right, my favorite. I farted in the Apple store and my wife got upset. I told her it's not my fault that they don't have windows.
That's pretty good.
That was pretty funny.
So, also, sorry for the bot that told everybody they won.
Oh, I know. I thought YouTube would be like impervious to all the bots and stuff that attack giveaways.
I'm sure that's exactly what it does is find giveaway in the headline and then go in, like probably copies the poster's picture because it did have your
exactly
PE
what they
logo,
did.
and then just everybody.
Yeah. So like I've done some giveaways on Instagram and that always happens.
Not to me. I'm too small.
Oh, really?
No.
It didn't oh, man. I just figured it was just everything.
No, I think, well, you have like 12,000 followers,
Anyways,
which I'm sure
I've only done like 2 or 3 and I've gotten hit every time. And it's been an issue every time. And so I have since like verified my account.
Yep.
So that doesn't happen.
Okay.
At least on Instagram giveaways. But I'd never done anything on YouTube and they're on YouTube.
Yeah. That's a bummer.
Bummer bots.
Don't send anybody your social security number. You can Venmo me money though if you want to.
The Kyle bot. Okay, so we have our weekly update. I'm going to talk about some of my experiences and takeaways from being in Utah at the PPA Salt Lake City. Kyle's Corner, we're going to talk through this letter that Selkirk sent out to UPA.
Alleged letter. Because they never came out and said that was our letter or anything. So
okay, but it seems
it's definitely real.
Pretty real.
It's real.
So we're going to talk through it, even if it's not real. Never even crossed my mind that was like a possibility. But even if it's not real, like the issues it brings up,
I think
are valid.
Yep.
So we're going to talk about some concerns that Selkirk has with the current state of paddle testing and certification that is happening with UPA and USAP and everything. So we're going to talk through that. And then what else? That's going to take up the majority of our stuff. And then we have a couple points in paddle, babble, and gear. I was gone all week. You tested a couple paddles that you're going to talk about. So we'll do yours. I think it was the Neonic,
the titanium flare. So I don't know if you saw, they posted the 14 mil flare with the new core. It wasn't up to their specs, so they're sending out they're doing a whole new batch. They weren't happy with that.
Yeah, we can talk about that.
But the titanium, yep.
And then the Vector XL from
Versix.
Versix, I think that's how you say it. And I got a story about Versix.
Oh, good.
I'll share you when we get to that point. All right, weekly update. So Salt Lake City, PPA. I always try to do like the regional events, especially the pro ones, because I think they're fun. Mm-hmm. And so I've done that one. This is like my 3rd PPA this year. This event was held at the Salt Lake Palace Convention Center. This is a huge convention center in Salt Lake. They do like Comic-Con. They like huge events happening. This place is massive. They converted a portion of it into a pickleball venue.
Yep.
So they had courts that they rolled out onto the floor. There was a lot of complaints about the courts. The announcers were originally calling it like pickle roll courts because they're known for having the roll courts, but it wasn't pickle roll. It was architect. You know, the ones that usually do like their paint jobs.
Yeah.
So I guess they have like some rolly courts.
So it was their courts and pickle roll caught all the heat because I saw lots of comments being like, these courts are terrible. I saw videos of like the bad bounces.
Yeah.
And everybody was saying it was pickle rolls. That sucks.
Yeah, it sucks really bad. And I'm sure that PPA was like concerned about that. They're like, oh, we're going to get like sued by pickle roll.
Yeah. I'm surprised. I'm going to have to go look and see if pickle roll said anything. Like, hey, those weren't our courts.
I would imagine. And I wonder if they changed it later because I'm pretty sure that was on their mind. Anyways, so the courts, I don't think actually the court itself, like the roll court was bad. Mm-hmm. It was more so what was underneath it.
Yeah.
So the concrete underneath was uneven. There were grates, like they rolled the I guess court over top like metal grates.
Okay, I'm wondering if that's where the bounce was dead. It was like hitting.
No, that was one of the problems. And so like you could literally step and feel like the unevenness and the ridges of the grates. And if the ball hit it, there was a couple times where it would hit a grate and just took like a 90-degree turn, mm-hmm. like it just point over. And like they're like, 1 foot by 2 feet. Like they're big. Like it takes up. It affected the game. And then there were several dead spots on each side of the court. Like wherever the court was like uneven underneath, it had little air pockets, mm-hmm. and then that's where it would die.
Got it. Okay.
So I think if we had quality like cement underneath, mm-hmm. I imagine the courts would have been fine. But just the courts weren't great.
That's a bummer.
It was a bummer.
I mean, I do argue like both sides. That's like when people complain about wind too. It's like both sides have to deal with it. Like it's not going to be perfect. It does suck though.
Yeah. I mean, what frustrates me about it is, one, you pay a lot of money to be in these things. Like,
no, exactly.
It was like $200 to $300 to participate, right? Okay. And I'm just an amateur. I didn't even sign up for the qualifiers. So there's that aspect. Like you want it to be a good experience. Yeah. And then, and like pickleball's a game of runs. Like there was, I think I went like 4 and 5 overall at the events. Okay. So I went like basically 50-50, but I'm not like saying it was because of the courts I lost, but there's definitely moments throughout the game where they had significant impacts where like not only was it a point, but like it's a game of runs, right? Yep. So like it either stopped or continued to run that may have gone another direction, and it's you don't know what would have happened on regular courts, especially on like tight games.
Yeah. No, that's the thing. It's like a crucial point, and then like it takes a bad bounce. You take the wind out of your sails, or put the wind in your sails, depending on what side you're on.
And so it was just, I mean, you made it work, right? You still had fun and you're playing, but it was just a bummer. It's like, oh man, I really wish these were better. So lots of complaints about the courts, and I was right there with them. But like other than the courts, like the venue was huge. Like there's tons of space in between the courts, which was nice. Like the players had like their own player lounge that was separate from everyone. And like the championship court was huge. Like they could build it bigger because there was so much space. And so that aspect was really cool. Like the experience of like spectating was nice because there was so much space.
Was the viewing better than at the Pickler Caseville?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. The viewing was better. And on like the grandstand, they had more grandstand courts with more space around it. And so it was, the viewing experience I thought was enhanced because there was so much more space. And so I liked that the venue was huge.
Nice.
And I imagine it costs a lot of money to set these things up. Like I wonder when they're going to start doing like stadiums.
And I mean, they have done stadiums for like exhibition type things.
Have they?
Yeah, I think so.
Like permanent stadiums.
I think they didn't Miami. They do like a stadium of some sort.
I wonder if more and more of those will start coming up. I think that'll save them lots of money from all this setup because it's a huge deal that they're just lugging around everywhere. Anyways, the venue had its pros and cons. From the amateur experience, wasn't the best on the court side. But the viewing experience I thought was good.
I'm gonna put you on the spot. APB Newport or PPA Salt Lake? What was the better experience as an amateur?
This one was APP. APP was a little quicker on the games. PPA is always a little slower. Plus you had the dedicated courts and stuff. I always appreciate that.
And then APP has refs. Did you have refs for your game?
I had refs for one game.
Okay.
It was like a random.
Just like a random game.
One game. Okay. Yeah. Wasn't consistent on the refs. Yeah. I mean, but like when I did PPA St. George, like I was happy with that. It was more of a venue.
Probably venue. Yeah.
And you know, some people complain about longer wait times. Like it's usually an hour, hour and a half between games, but I don't mind because you're just there watching and it's fun. And yeah, you get like maybe a little cool or whatever, but I don't think it's that big of a deal waiting between games, but that's just me. But that was the venue. There was a lot of talk about it, more so than most venues. I think takeaways for me, like that's stuff I want to go work on and learn from this. It's kind of been the same story for me. Like when I get to the net, I do really well. I think I am better and beat anyone I played there. Like when I get to the net, but I just lose too many points from my opponents when they're at the baseline and transition, just smacking it.
Yeah.
And I've gotten better at handling that pace, but I'm not there yet. I still will give up a couple, 2-3 points a game from there, like just easy ones that you just can't give up. And so I want to work on managing that pace better, just getting it down. I think I just go for a little too much. I'm trying to like push it back. It's like, just knock it down, bring him into the net.
Yep.
And then 2, I just need to work on returns. Like when I get a little tighter, my returns get shorter. I need something that's a little more penetrating, a little deeper, and something that I'm confident in that I can go for every time. So I need to work on my returns.
That's something I need. Like my return, I feel like I'll leave it up short, then I'm just like getting us crushed.
Yeah, that caused issues for the teams I played on a couple of times. And so those are the 2 areas. And like when I look back on how I've been like practicing and drilling, I do so much stuff in the net with hands and speed ups, and and that's where I'm good. Like I work on drops. Like my soft game solid, but I just never work on like drives, receiving drives. Like I don't know. Like you ever drill that? I never drill that.
No, that's funny because like I also do a lot of net stuff, and like all the guys I drill with, they do net stuff. But like that's where we're all strong.
Yeah.
Like honestly, my weakness is probably return of serve off of somebody that has like a very heavy serve, making sure that I get it deep as well.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and when you get in that 5-0 range, like everyone's going big on serves.
Yeah, no, exactly.
You have to be able to not only get it back, but get it back, in that back like third, fourth, with not too floaty. And so yeah, I agree. Like that's something I just need to drill. I need to implement into just be conscious about it when I'm drilling, because it's not baked in right now. I've just been doing kind of so many hands and net stuff. I'm like, oh, I got to improve hands. And like my hands are good enough where, I can be in and win games with them, but I'm losing it in other places, and I just haven't paid attention to it. I need to give that more time. And then, okay, other weekly update stuff. I know you're going to Japan. You're prepping Japan. You're starting to post about it. You're packing. What's going on there?
Well, so I'm going to Japan for a month for training for my real job, but it's just me solo. I don't have friends there. I'm planning to play a bunch of pickleball, shoot some content, have a small project going with a brand for some product photos while I'm there. I'm already connected with like an ambassador there to play pickleball.
Nice.
So I think he's an English teacher. His emails are really good. So I'm like, all right.
Where are you staying? Like, is it a hotel?
Yokohama. It's a hotel, a very, very small hotel, smaller than this room.
So you'll be there for the whole month?
Mm-hmm. And then my wife's going to come out and then stay 10 days.
In the same hotel?
We're going to move hotels because once she comes, I'll be done with my training's 3 weeks. And then we're going to stay like a full week and go around and go to like Osaka and check out the castle and do all that kind of stuff too. It'll be a lot less pickleball the last week.
Okay. Dude, that's going to be so cool. We're going to try and call you in at least once while you're there.
Yeah, we can. I'm bringing all my podcast stuff. So, if we want to do podcast, no problem.
Yeah, it'll be really fun to hear what pickleball's like over there. And
well, that's my hope, is to get like some gameplay footage and stuff so I can like share what like it looks like over there. I had a request. Somebody wants to see how they do like paddle lines and stuff and just like the differences. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, that's going to be really fun. Japan's on my bucket list. I've had some family members go there and I'm like really jealous. It looks awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool. So that's coming up. Last thing I guess I got two more things just for the weekly update. One is in relation to my products. I
saw that note. That's cool.
Yeah, this is exciting. So I have, my handful of paddle accessory products. I was talking with my brother. We're just kind of strategizing what we want to do for the future of these. So right now they're only being sold on Amazon. Yeah. We are currently creating a Pickleball Effect Shop.com. So this will be a separate domain from pickleballeffect.com. And this will just be a dedicated website, e-commerce site for selling Pickleball Effect accessories and any other stuff we come up with in the future. I got another product I'm working on right now. It's not like the tungsten, I feel like was like a big deal. This one's a little smaller. No one else is really doing it, but I don't think it's going to be as popular as the tungsten, but I do think there's room for it. So working on that. But what I'm most excited about for the e-commerce shop is, one, we can start building like bundle type things. And so like every time you change something on Amazon, whether you make a bundle or 2-pack, like it's a big ordeal to create a new listing and get it set up on there. So having our website gives us more flexibility of different options of ways people can buy stuff from us.
Cool.
And I see the e-commerce site being like, okay, you find us on Amazon, you like us, you try us out. And then when you buy your second one,
you go there,
you go to the shop, you buy more, you bundle, you get discounts.
Got it.
Plus we'll be able to do an ambassador program. So anyone who's interested in being an ambassador, it's just like any other affiliate thing, it's going to be 10 and 10. You give a discount code, get 10% off, you get 10% commission for all the things on there. So I imagine, I've had a few people reach out to me about the tungsten being like an ambassador affiliate for them or for that. Cool. So I think it'll be cool to have that in place. And
is Riley going to run that?
Riley's running it. Yeah. He's going to be doing the wholesale. Not wholesale.
He's going to be slammed.
I don't know.
After this podcast asking for ambassadors, get ready, Riley. Emails are coming.
We're using Up Promote. How many different ambassador programs have you been?
Oh my gosh. So Up Promote, which I like. Then the one that Pickleball Central uses,
Reversion.
I don't like that one.
That one's true.
It's like it's weird the way it like sends you the link, and I'm just like, I don't like that. Then there's a third one I had. So I think 3 or 4.
So you probably have a bread and butter one. They have, I forget the name of it, but they have a different one.
I don't ever use. I think I have a code, but I don't know if I ever go look at it.
Yeah. So I have like 6 or 7, maybe even like 8 different platforms that I've used. It's actually really hard to keep track of how well
each one's doing
affiliate stuff is going because you have to log into each one individually. But Up Promote has been my favorite because it has like stats. You can make links that have like tracking codes with them, so you know where traffic's coming from. I think it has better analytics for the ambassador. And then, but yeah, so we're going with that one. I'll plop the link in there. You can sign up right now. So if anyone's interested, you want to get in early, we'll get that in there.
Do I get to be the first?
You can be the first. Well, technically I was the first for the test. Okay. So you can be second.
Okay.
But yeah, we're gonna get that running, and I don't know what's gonna happen. Like that'll be interesting to see what that does. And this is just like the start of my $1 million idea of what this shop could turn into. Nice. I'm gonna break out that sauce later. I'm keeping that one tight as I'm kind of developing this thing. But like what I'm doing now and what we're doing is like it's great. I'm having a lot of fun. I'm making enough money to pay the house, do everything we need to. Like we're living comfortable. I'm not like stressed about money, but it's not $1 million scalable business either.
No, he drives a Toyota Corolla. If anybody was wondering, he doesn't have a G-Wagon.
Yeah. But this new idea that's formulating that starts with this shop is the $1 million idea.
Are we going to have a Pickleball Effect warehouse with a court yet? That's what we need.
It's going to get there, dude.
Can we build it here though and not in Utah?
Like I get the chills thinking about this, and I'm like super pumped. And I'm pretty sure anyone listening has no idea what my plan is. I'm sure they don't. Because it's pretty big, and I think I can pull it off.
Sweet.
Over the next 2-3 years.
Nice.
But I'm gonna retire off this one.
Whoa.
That's the goal here. Pumped about that. Okay, last thing. Excuse me. Okay, this is my stack ad from my experience at PPA Selkirk. So Seagulls, I think it was Friday. I get called in my court, and I'm hydrating like crazy, right? I'm drinking, and you got to pee a bunch when you're hydrating. Yeah. So I'm like, oh, crap, I got to go pee before this match. I'm already got called to the court. I got my ball. I checked in. I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna run to the bathroom real quick. So I got I'm wearing tourney shorts. I have I can't remember if it was a Flow State tee or Tech Tank, but I run to the bathroom. I'm in a hurry. I'm like, oh, I gotta get my court. So I get it out, and I'm shaking it off, but I tuck them in a little too early. Yeah, and I get some dribble on my shorts. And I'm like, oh, this is so embarrassing because I gotta go on the court right now.
But the liner took care of it.
No, it was on the outside.
Oh no!
So there was probably like 3 or 4 dots or whatever. I'm like, people know.
Oh yeah,
like
that's not water.
That is not water. And I'm like, oh, I just got to go play. So I walk out. I do like a little jog to my court, and then by the time I get to the court and we start warming up, I look down and it's like
good to go,
practically gone. Like you can't even tell it's there. Quick drying.
There you go.
Effect of the tourney shorts. There's that's the best ad I could give.
That's good. Everybody has had that issue.
So there you go. Quick drying is a real feature of the shorts. Thanks for everyone who took advantage of the 20% off. I hope you like your stuff. I've gotten several comments of people really liking their gear, so happy about that. And then I do have a standing like 15% off for a stack if you guys are ever interested. All right, Kyle's Corner.
All right, before we dive in to this note,
okay,
since it's Kyle's Corner and we talk about pro stuff, we still have to talk about PPA and our girl Marianna.
Oh my gosh, how did I almost forget?
You can't forget that.
Wow,
I know.
I didn't have it as a bullet.
And it's not even a note, but
my gosh,
it's been on my mind like all week. So.
This is literally the coolest story of all time. Do you want to set the stage?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'll give you some background. So Marianna, tennis player for U of I. She's does data now for, I forgot what kind of company, but she's a nerd. Love you. But so she started playing pickleball just like a year ago at Manitou with all of us at the park. I played in her very first local tournament. We played the NAMI. It was her, Lucas. I played with Hannah while she was super pregnant, and then me. And we played 4-0 because they didn't know the rules. They didn't even know pickleball rules. We didn't drop a match. We probably should have played 4-5. But anyway, year later, she enters her first singles tournament, PPA, comes up through the qualifiers, and has to play Leah Jansen round 1.
Okay, I'm going to step in here because I'm there. Okay?
Yeah, you got it.
So she rolls through the qualifiers. Let's say that. I think she dropped maybe 5 points total through 2 or 3 matches. So 32 seeds. She has a 4.2 singles duper.
I know. I sent some people her duper, and they're like, no. I'm like, yep.
So she played in a local little singles tournament.
Yeah, I think the only one was the Flying Pickle one.
Yeah,
that's the only
so she has 4 matches to her name. She has a 4.2 duper. She's playing Leah Jansen. She wins the first game, loses the second, and then beats Leah in the third 12-10.
And it's tight, yeah.
But what was so crazy, so Leah, we know is an emotional player, and she, watching them play, Marianna looked like the better player on the court, and Leah was getting visibly frustrated. Marianna was hitting shots. She was just what just happened? Who is this? And she started doing like a little gamemanship with the ref, trying to slow things down. And
that pissed me off.
Yeah, I mean,
between game 2 and 3, like she was talking to the ref for like 10 minutes. So I was like, come on, stop icing her. Let's go.
And it was so all the people from Boise are there, just cheering her on. I got a couple dirty looks from my cheers from Jansen. You know, you're gonna get those.
That's fine.
And it was so fun. And she, like Marianna, like her focus face, she's so intense. And she pulls off this upset out of nowhere. Everyone looks like she's turning heads, right? Like, she looked like the better player on the court, so she advances. Like, it was just, I don't think she realized what she did. Like, ladies and gentlemen, she's really good.
Yeah, she is one of the top players in the world.
I think she's number 3 in the world.
That's what I was saying. Like, she's one of the best players in the world.
She's a phenomenal singles player.
And it wasn't like a fluke. Marianna played good.
She played great.
But she does have the advantage that, like, Leigh had never seen her. Obviously, so there's no game tape, but doesn't diminish the fact that she took down the number 1 seed.
So she goes the next round.
Rolls the next round. 11-4, 11-4.
Yeah, I think it was
Lane Seath.
Lane Seath, yeah.
Which I watched. It wasn't streamed. Neither was Leia. So Leia wasn't streamed. We had somebody stream it. Then she plays Lane Seath, not streamed, but if you watch Showcase 2 and you look to the right, I could see half the court. So I just watched like half the court the whole time. So you could just see like the far side. So you could see her playing. But yeah, 11-4, 11-4.
Yeah, I missed the second game. I watched the first.
And then goes on to the quarterfinals to play UDIT.
Yep. But like that second match, people were watching because they're like, okay, who is this? Was it a fluke that she beat Jansen? So that proved like, no.
Yeah,
she's not a fluke. And so she gets to the quarters against UDIT Castillo.
That's tough. I knew that as soon as I saw that, I was like, that is going to be very tough. Like UDIT is like one of the most athletic women on tour by far. She's
phenomenal. She has a little different style than Leia.
Yep.
Leia likes to come to the net.
Yep.
UDIT likes to stay in the back.
And just baseline bash.
Bash. And she's very good at it.
Yep.
Covers a lot of court. And that match was so fun and so many trade backs. So it went to 3. Yep. I think she lost to 3 by a decent margin, like 11-4. But Marianna looked a little gassed.
Yeah.
Like she had done the qualifiers.
You got to think she had to come through the qualifiers. So she played several games.
But like Marianna, like UDIT had to beat her. Like she had to make plays, like big plays. And UDIT was like, she was getting into it. She was fist pumping, and like she had to beat her.
Yeah, it was awesome.
It was not a walk in the park.
Like brought it like a tear to my eye. I'm like, let's go, Boise.
It was so cool cheering her on. And then everyone afterwards were like, Marianna, are you gonna keep playing? She's like do more tournaments. She's like, I don't know. I don't have any more PTO.
I was dying. And she has no brands that watch this, pay attention. She doesn't have a contract with anybody. I thought she was at least on like the AMP team with Selkirk.
She's not?
No. So she's paying for her paddles. I'm like, Marianna, you should never buy a paddle again. So somebody needs to hit her up.
It was so amazing. She has no clue. She knew she did something cool, but I don't think she realized how cool it was and how unique that run she made was. Really, really fun being there and cheering her on with all the other Boise people.
Then the next day she makes main draw women's.
Yep, she makes main draw women's with Chloe Ogleski, another local gal. She's 16. They played
Anna Bright
and Rohrbacher.
I knew that was as soon as I saw that. I was like, I was like, they have never seen power from women like they're about to see.
That was a different story. Doubles is always hard to break through, right? So they lost, I believe it was 11-6, 11-2.
Yeah, sounds right.
But they put a good showing.
They did.
You know, they scored some points. And, you know, they didn't look out of place. They looked like they belonged. Yeah. And, you know, had they played, you know, maybe a mid-tier pro team, could be a different story.
I think if they would have just played a pro team that had a different play style, it would have been different. Like they were playing like straight firepower where I'm like, that's like.
Yeah, they're good. They're so good. Yeah. And anyways, they look good, but she made it through qualies, which was big.
Yep.
Got a main draw appearance. And people were saying that PPA approached her. I don't know if they were talking to her about potentially doing like a deal or something to get her to play more, but I hope they do because it was really fun. I really think if Marianna is a weekend player. Yeah.
And she plays rec, like she doesn't play singles like very often at all. She plays like doubles with dudes most of the time.
Yeah.
Like
she's from Italy. She came to play tennis at the University of Idaho.
Played all 4 years. She's got a bunch of like Big Sky records. She was a big deal in tennis.
Yeah, she was a great player and then just stayed local and worked and found pickleball.
Yeah. Her fiance is good too.
Yeah,
but
Lucas
now
is a good player.
He's in trouble now because I'm sure some guy probably saw that performance and be like, I'm looking for a mixed partner.
He's never played with Marianna again. That was so fun. And then another funny story about this. Okay, so like 25 minutes or so after Marianna lost to UDIP, I'm standing somewhere. She comes up to me. She's like, "Hey, Braydon, do you know anybody that works for the PPA? I need my money." And I was like, "Oh, I'm not sure."
Oh, she made money for that?
Yeah, you make money at the quarters.
Oh,
I'm like,
sweet.
how much money do you make? I don't know. So we looked it up. Like Lucas was there. He looked it up. So non-PPA pros make half the prize money. So making to the quarters, if you're a PPA person, you make 400. So she made 200.
Okay. So she then almost paid for her entry.
Almost paid for her entry. And then I'm like, oh, so Connor Ogden was in the VIP tent. I'm like, I don't really know this guy, but I know he works for PPA. So she walks right up to him. She's like, "Hey, I need my money." It was so great.
That's awesome.
Like, yeah, go Marianna. And then she came to me afterwards. She goes, we exchange information. Hopefully they send her like a check or something. But she's like, at tennis, they just give me my money like at the event. And so she was frustrated they didn't just pay her right there.
Oh, I love it.
Which makes sense though. And anyways, it was just the whole day. It was so fun being there. And that was definitely the highlight of the event for me. Yeah, I'm so glad you brought it up.
I was so pumped. I was like screaming at my TV. My coworker's like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "Don't worry about it."
Oh, that was so fun. I told her we need to get her on.
So
she said maybe next week.
Sweet.
Just to talk through her experience. Okay, Kyle's corner. Let's talk about Selkirk's letter to the UPA. So set the stage for this.
Okay. Well, little backstory. I'd actually heard that there was emails floating around way before these got dropped. I just didn't say anything because I hadn't seen them personally. There was apparently some emails from Selkirk to UPA addressing some issues they have with UPA-A, the new equipment governing body. On Discord, on Pickleball Studio Discord, some random user comes in and just boom drops a link for a whole folder of all these emails.
Did you do any research on who that user was?
I can't talk about that. I can't.
You know who it was?
I can't talk about that. I think I do.
You don't know for sure.
We'll talk. I don't know for sure, but I have somebody who told me.
I just want to know.
They've only posted 2 things in that Discord, and both were like bangers. So
okay, so it wasn't necessarily a new account, but it wasn't like an active account.
It was it was not an active.
account. Okay.
It was not an active account.
Okay, that kind of tells a little story there, but
exactly. Like they had like one other post, so they come in, they drop this link that's got like a Vulcan email, couple Selkirk emails, and like
the audit thing.
All addressing UPA-A. And it's a bombshell. Like a lot of it is stuff I feel like we've already talked about, like issues we've brought up with UPA-A.
It is.
But like it's nice to see.
But it was voiced by Selkirk.
Which is one of the biggest voices. Regardless of how paddle nerds feel about their paddles, Selkirk is like the biggest player. Like,
yeah, I would say they're number one.
Yeah. So anything that comes from their voice is a big deal.
Okay, so I'm gonna just kind of talk through, just to highlight the issues that they brought up, and then we'll dive into them. So Selkirk has 3 problems with what's going on right now. One is the perceived incompetence of PPL, like that's the phrase they use.
That's the testing lab that's doing the certifications.
So PPL is partnered or contracted by UPA-A to do all the standardization, the testing, the certifications. Like that's their testing arm. So perceived incompetence of PPL. And we'll dive more into that here in a second, but that was point number 1. Point number 2, they had issues with the interim certification process because, well, let's go to issue 3 here. Issue 3 is the interim certification price. So those are the 3 things that they're like, okay, these are things we have beef with that we need you to change,
or we're out.
Yep. We're not going to support you. And so their call to actions were, we want to restructure. We want new leadership for PPL. We want new standards, and we want new process. Like just basically
clean house,
start over with PPL. And then they want to convert UPA-A into a nonprofit.
Yep. And you know why that is, right? Because they want Olympics. Like Olympics is on the radar.
Olympics and conflicts of interest.
Well, yeah, exactly. And it also just makes sense.
They want to reduce the certification price. We talked about price, how expensive that was last time. It'd be like $100,000 a year.
That actually surprised me that Selkirk called for that.
So, and they said that's too high because it's going to reduce like competition. And they even point out like it's probably in our favor for you to be this expensive because we can afford that and still keep prices the same, whereas smaller brands cannot afford that and keep paddle price. So it'll push paddle prices up. For smaller brands and decrease competition in general. And they were like, no, we want fair competition. This makes it unfair. And then they wanted to revoke the interim certification, redo it, do a technical audit and review. Or they said, option 2, let's just go back to USAP.
Yep.
All right, let's go through these 3 concerns, and I'm going to we'll talk into these a little more detail and like what like the arguments they had for these things. So I read all these documents last night for like was thinking about it for like 2.5 hours because like I wanted this is like big news and I don't want to give false information because like this affects people's lives.
Oh yeah,
whether you're working for PPL, like this is a big deal, and I wanted the information to be right. I wanted to present it correctly. Yeah. And so I did my best to share this information of how it was, what was there, and then we can just share our opinions on it. Okay, so speaking to the perceived incompetence of PPL, Selkirk cited 3 specific events. One, the Daytona Beach, November 17, 2023 is when they first met PPL. PPL started doing their testing for MLP. So one of the Selkirk head honchos went out there that day with some of their people and to observe how the testing was going to take place. They encountered some issues there, and they were like not impressed with how they were conducting the testing. And then he cites MLP Grand Rapids, July 10th, 2024. I remember when we talked about this, how there was an issue on that MLP where they were just failing so many paddles that they said, oh,
throw it out the window.
Throw it out the window. Yep. All paddles pass. And so from this letter, I didn't know this, but from this letter, apparently the machines that they were using hadn't been calibrated. There was something that went wrong in the travel.
The transit. Yeah.
The transit. And so it took them 2 days to realize that something was wrong, and they had to like change the rules of say everyone passes and they're like, okay, this is another sign of their incompetence that took them 2 days to realize what the problem was, how to fix it. They're like, they just kept failing paddles, just saying, oh man, I think everything's failing, rather than realizing there was an issue with the equipment and hinting at they don't know how to set up the equipment correctly, don't know how to calibrate it, they don't even know when it's not working correctly. And so that was one thing that they cited. And then they said August 7th, which is super recent, they sent their metrology engineer lead. So metrology is the science of measurement. Yep. You probably know more.
Yeah, we have lots of them because I work in the semiconductor industry.
What do they do?
It's like very precise measurements. Like we have metrology tools that are like, and I'm talking insane, like nanometers. Like this is like precise measurement. So it's like science of measuring.
Okay. So boom, that's who they are. And then they had their quality control person go and observe what they were doing again. So they were asking them questions. They're like, okay, why are you doing this? How are you doing this? Yep. And they observed issues with them not knowing that they should be recalibrating the machines every time and not conducting the tests in a more controlled environment because they have said, oh, look, we're getting paddles approved at this temperature, but you're testing at different temperatures at all the events. So just not having a controlled environment that was repeatable. And so they just cite multiple issues and that they've had with PPL, and they're just not happy with what's going on there. What are your thoughts on that?
Okay. So this like pisses me off because I'm an engineer. They don't, and I've read through the email too. Like you have to have, like, I agree with the environment. Like this should be, because this is like the real deal for pros. If you want to be legitimate, like it needs to be the same everywhere you go. Every test, you need to be testing it before you test paddles. Like you should have some known value that you're testing on to make sure your equipment's reading correctly before you touch anybody's paddles. So like it infuriates me. But if you go on to read it, like these guys aren't engineers. Like the head, I guess, sells suits or something before he did this.
Yeah, Gary Brody is the guy that owns and kind of is the president of PPL. I looked up his LinkedIn. He had done, I don't know if it was suit specifically, but
they said something about calling him a suit salesman. That's why
he was involved with like apparel and stuff for a long time. Maybe that's where they get that from.
But like they don't have to be engineers, but they need to be like real technical people running this.
At least the people underneath Gary need to be able to there's a difference between like leadership
Correct.
and technical ability.
Correct.
Like there's lots of leaders who don't have the technical skills to perform what they're leading.
Mm-hmm. And I don't know their organization, so I don't know if I've seen people talk about, oh, nepotism, this and that. So like, I don't know if people below him are like of relation of some sort.
Yeah, I don't know the details there,
but
so
like,
it's hard to speak
they need
to
to
that.
be exactly, but they need to be qualified.
But apparently, yeah, the qualifications according to Selkirk don't seem to be there.
So, and like in the Navy, I did test equipment for a while, so like calibration's a big deal. Some of these guys didn't even know you needed to, like I heard that they didn't know you needed to calibrate the roughness tester, but like how do you know it's reading correctly if you don't calibrate it?
Yeah, this is a big deal. Like if true, which they cited multiple experiences. Like the one for me was the MLP Grand Rapids where they had the deflection.
Yeah, and we made jokes about that.
We made jokes about that.
Yeah.
And we thought it was for a different reason originally, and until this letter came out.
And we just thought maybe it was too hot that's why all the paddles were failing. But if their equipment's failing, that's just as bad. I mean, that's actually worse.
That
like they should be the control.
Right. And this is July 10th, 2024. They've been doing this for like 6 months.
Yeah.
And the fact that they hadn't have it dialed in at that point is concerning.
Well, no, and like with this letter, this opens up like, can brands sue them? Like if I showed up with paddles and I get all these paddles failed, and now they've proven that maybe they're incompetent. Like you failed on my paddles, and you hurt my brand's reputation. Because we've talked like all these Yolas are failing, all these gearboxes are failing, but like were they actually failing? Because now you'll never know.
Yeah, no, you're right. There's
like now there's a
waterfall effect there.
Exactly. Like there is doubt now.
Okay, so that was that one. Okay, they're going to the next one. This one I think is really significant. And, kind of cool that they called this out. So the interim certification issues. So they accuse UPA-A of biased collaboration with Yola based on the sudden implication of the interim certification and the approval of the Yola 3S paddle. So the story is in June, UPA-A says, hey, we're going to do an interim certification.
Yep.
And then August, and I guess, there was some information that it's coming, but no details. As at the time of the announcement in June, according to this information right from Selkirk, I want to emphasize it like this is just where I'm getting all this information. They said, okay, we're going to communicate you guys the standards. You guys are going to be part of the process. Make sure we do this right and do it together. Because there's a committee of 10 or so brands that are supposed to be involved in setting all this up. So they say, okay, in June, we're going to do that. August 5th, Selkirk and the other committee members get an email, apparently from Jason Aspis, who's the leader of UPA.
The leader. He's president.
The leader. And apparently the email was pretty short saying, hey, we got it figured out. The interim process is in place. Oh, and by the way, Yola 3S paddles are going to be approved this week. And so Selkirk's like, okay, they were taken aback. And they're like, one, we weren't consulted on the standards. How?
And they're on the board.
They're on the board. The process is like, what are you measuring? How are you measuring?
Yeah.
And then two, how is Yola already approved?
Yeah.
Why do they get to be the first? And so,
I mean, I'll tell you why. Money.
Okay. So let's go into this. Okay. Why? Yeah. Like it almost makes you feel like Yola and UPA's got something cooking, right?
Well, as brands go, the brand with the most to lose right now was Yola being delisted by USAP. Because the thing, like Selkirk has the same money. Like Selkirk could pay, but they don't need to because their paddles are already passing. Their paddles are already approved. Yola was in a bad spot because they got delisted and then they had to do the weird thing with the mod and like they want to get paddles back out to the masses. They had the most to gain from being the first one certified.
Yeah. So that's the one we don't really know what's going on there, but it is apparent that there was something that happened because two things happened real quick that weren't supposed to happen yet. And so they just flat out said there was a biased collaboration with Yola to get this system in place. And then down the road, so later the standards are shown.
Yep.
And what they're testing, how they're testing it. And this is, okay, so we joked last time about the spin test being 2200, but we're like, we have no idea how they do it. So it's come to it was brought to us of how they do this spin test.
Yeah, we've seen video.
This spin test is what's under scrutiny in addition to what they said with the the bias collaboration. So this is how the spin test works. PPL has an air cannon that shoots a ball at a paddle that's held, that's like clamped, it's static.
Yep.
And they have the paddle at 3 different angles, and they shoot this ball at 40 miles per hour. This 40 miles per hour is significant. So it shoots the ball. They're doing a high frame rate calculation. Mm-hmm. So the ball hits the paddle. They will calculate. They'll take the highest row number they get. Yep. And if it does not exceed 2,200, which Selkirk feels like was pulled out of a hat from U2 databases.
I was gonna say from you and Q and Chris.
Yeah, and so they that's how they're running this test. And so Selkirk's like, okay, there's some issues with this test because one, the ball is going 40 miles per hour at a static paddle. Mm-hmm. When you're serving a ball or returning a ball, you have the mass of the ball coming plus the force of the paddle, which is going to be a lot greater than 40.
Yep.
So you have things in play like what's when the ball stays on? I'm forgetting the term.
Dwell time.
Dwell time. So you have things like dwell time that aren't being impacted mm-hmm. or being like observed in this test, and it's just unrealistic.
Yeah. No, and then another one that you got to think about is like you got the ball, and it's coming, and this paddle's static. We've already proven with Chris's high speed cameras, there's compression of the ball. Mm-hmm. If this paddle's moving this way, this ball's moving this way, the compression is way more than the paddle being static.
Exactly. And then, so that was an issue. And they're like, Selkirk's main problem with this was like, okay, if this is how you're performing the test, you can make paddles hyper spinny.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's going to doesn't take as much, or it takes you can go pretty high mm-hmm. on like grit and other things that cause spin with the way they're testing it. And then when you put it in real life scenarios, the spin is way more than 2,200 because of how pickleball is actually played.
It's physics, yeah.
And so that resonated. It's like, okay, there's obviously an issue there with how they're performing these tests. And that kind of fed back into their incompetence claim of PPL and not everybody working together to get something mm-hmm. in place that makes sense and is more thought through.
Yeah. And I don't know the perfect way to do the spin test. Like I've been thinking about it like as an engineer, and like to me, honestly, something like the Topspin Pro with like an accelerometer and like a machine where it swings the paddle through the ball would give you still a better representation. That's another thing too, is like you turn the paddle over, like the ball, like your paddle angle isn't the same through the stroke.
Unless it's like a dink or something.
No, exactly. But if you're looking
in that
for
case,
max
it doesn't matter as
spin,
much. The spin matters most on drives,
because
serves.
you're brushing the ball. Like, I don't know. That test to me, and like when I saw it visually, I'm like, that doesn't tell me the max capability of spin from that paddle.
Yeah.
Like, there's no way. Yeah. And they even came out and said almost no paddles failed the 2,200 RPM test.
It makes sense. Why?
Yeah.
But like there was one that failed though?
I'd be curious to see what the hush. I'd be curious to see what the hush was.
Yeah.
Because we tested it at what 20? It got like 2,500 when Duster hit it.
Yeah, it was pretty high. So and he was getting like 17 on his regular paddle or something.
He was getting 1,800. Yeah, it was right. It was 1,800 on his regular paddle, and he got 2,500 on the hush.
Yeah, it's pretty wild.
So
anyway, so that was just like one example of the testing that they're worried about. And then like apparently Selkirk has a lot of resources. Like they have their own metrology person, and they're like, you can use our people. Like we will help. And they actually made like this very detailed like audit of like you go through it was 12 pages long.
Yeah. No, I saw it.
Bullet after bullet after bullet of things that they need to be like, are we doing this? Yes or no? Like this was like they need
to do you know the background of the Barnes guys?
Not
okay, but like going through that, like those guys are sharp. Like you can tell they know what like testing, like they actually understand all that stuff. So I'm just curious.
And it seems like they've hired the right people.
Yeah.
And anyways, all these claims they were making like felt to me like, okay, this is like the truth. Mm-hmm. Like it felt like the truth. Like we want to get to the truth and we want to do it right.
Yeah.
And they're like, this is a big moment in pickleball. We need to get this right. They're like, we're usually not people to do crap like this.
Yeah, no, they're not. I mean, Selkirk's usually quiet.
Yeah.
You almost never hear them.
They're pretty quiet.
In any paddle drama other than when they were mad about how fast, like hot paddles were getting.
Yeah. And so I think it speaks to like the magnitude of the moment that Selkirk is putting this information out there. And going back to earlier, like it sounds like Selkirk or somebody wanted this information to get out to the public and not just the letter they submitted to UPA, so that people like us talk about it.
Exactly.
And then it gets out to the masses.
You got to think if it's only an email between UPA-A and Selkirk, the likelihood of like there's still a ton of pressure, but like if you get a bunch of us talking about it, like the pressure increases exponentially for UPA-A to do something.
Yeah, and I agree with Selkirk with like the spin test. I was like, yes, like the interim certification issues they brought up seemed really sketchy. Yep. And it's just like, I don't like, the more into the weeds you get into, the big pickle, like it gets murky.
Yeah.
And you're like, what is going on?
The almighty dollar, man. Everybody's looking for the almighty dollar.
Anyways, it's just kind of brought to light a lot of some issues that, we just don't see and we're not like privy to, and seeing it, it's like, okay, wow, stuff's happening. And it kind of makes you think, okay, well, yeah, I feel like I'm until I see more information, like it's hard when we only see this one viewpoint. Like I would like to see the other side of the story. And like UPA has to respond. Like it'll be interesting to see what they say.
I'm sure we won't see the response though. And that's, there's like no transparency like ever. And it's,
to the public at least.
Yeah.
I mean, it makes sense. I mean, this is like inner dealings.
Yeah.
Like this is
people's lives. Like this is like food on the table.
This is food on the table. And this is like pickleball, like the implications of, how these things are managed affect a lot of people and affects the game a lot. Like whether it's getting to the Olympics because of them not being a nonprofit, whether it's, I don't know. It's just, it gets confusing and it gets tough for pickleball as a whole. Like even at like the club level, like Flying Pickle, do they accept USAP and? Well,
no, that's another thing. It's a nightmare. Like having, because like the 3S to me, like why would I carry that in a pro shop? Because you can only use it in PPA tournaments. So unless you're like your club, you're gonna have like are just all paddles like free for all, or
you have to. Like,
you gotta pick a side.
I don't see
even
you have to do both.
Like people there's already people that are like that. Like I'll use the Vice. Diadem's like the closest thing because I was a rep forever, but like the Vice is not approved by anybody. If I take that to the park, people complain. I don't see it being any different if you have a paddle that's only approved by UPA-A. Like I still see it being an issue in rec play with normal people.
Yeah, it could definitely be an issue that way, especially if UPA or USAP, if one of the entities makes, hotter, better performing paddles because of the standards they have, then it's going to seem unfair if I don't have that, right? Yeah. It's like it affects rec, it affects clubs, it affects it's a trickle effect that it affects a lot of people, and and I think ultimately we want the sport to keep its core, which is it's the social aspects, it's the fun, competitive. Like my whole social circle is pickleball.
Yeah, me too. I don't have friends. I just have
pickleball friends, and like I like it. It's fun. I love it. Like my life since I've found pickleball has been so much better that way, and that's like I don't know. There's just so much more to pickleball than the PPA tour, you know, 100%. And we want. I just hope that they think bigger and not just PPA tour. And right now it feels very much like, how does PPA tour make money? And that's what I don't like about it.
100%. I'm in your corner on that.
Anyways, right now it feels like Selkirk has the truth on their side. But now that they've spoken up, smaller brands can now speak up because they can now say, I'm with Selkirk. I agree, but I couldn't do anything before because I'm not Selkirk.
Yeah. It's just squashed.
Now that you have a big player involved, things can start changing.
Yeah. No, and I was on a call this week. They were like, well, what do you think's going to happen? I'm like, honestly, if a bunch of brands stand with Selkirk, like UPA is dead on arrival. If you have brands that just say no, then you don't exist. Like you can't, like if you just have Yola,
can't do anything.
It won't be PPA, just the Yola tour. Like that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, they can't. They
like
can't
you need everybody to be like in agreement to move forward.
Yep. So it's in UPA's benefit to change,
to at least compromise. Maybe they don't do like every item, but they need to have some kind of compromise to move forward.
Yeah.
And an issue with the price, this kind of makes me mad too, is like I got the pricing from John's podcast because he talked to somebody and I posted about it on the Discord. A brand owner didn't even know the price. Like he learned the price as well from John's podcast. And I'm like, like UPA, you are failing. Like if people are finding out your certification process via podcast,
something wrong.
You're obviously not doing your job. Like, and it's a decent sized brand. Like, it's not a tiny brand. Like, they're doing well.
Yeah. Anyways, I feel like there's just a lot in the balance. So this will be interesting to see how this all shakes out and what demands end up getting followed or not. Okay. Done with that. Moving on. Let us know your thoughts on that if you have any.
Cool guy, Gary.
Cool guy, Gary.
We're going to get shirts made.
Oh, jeez. But I hope we presented that, in a fair way and, just shared our opinion on it with the knowledge that we have. And I don't know. I'm kind of, it's like a scary topic because, people get information from us and I don't want
to give them the wrong information.
To give them the wrong information, All right. We'll finish here with Paddle, Babble, and Gear brought to you by Kitchen Pickleball Bags.
Look at this bag. I am so jealous. Look at this gray bag.
Yeah, I just got it this week. I haven't even pulled the tag off. This is their new colorway.
This thing is sweet.
It's got orange in the middle.
I know. So it's like the bread and butter. It's cool. Actually, a different orange, but that's sweet.
Yeah, it's pretty slick. Worked on a review for this bad boy. I used it at the tournament this week.
Used the gray one or
my black one?
Okay.
And I fit everything in there just fine. Like on tournament days, like you're packing more snacks, you're packing more stuff. And it was a little tighter, but it still worked great. I had my shoe cube with me. Definitely built to be like a daily driver. And I think it's the best there is. It's the most well thought out bag for a daily driver and can be used for tournaments. I think some gripe it's gotten is like, oh, it's not huge.
Yeah.
And I don't know, some people pack more than me, but I still got everything in there just fine for tournament.
I used to have a big tour bag and stuff would just be like thrown in the bottom. At least in this makes me be more organized.
Yeah. They do a great job. If you haven't heard of these bags, go check them out. I'll put a link in the description. You can use one of our codes for free shipping. Okay, so I was in Utah. I didn't have I forgot to bring my computer. I'm kicking myself because I had tested a ton of paddles before I left, like power pop stuff. So I didn't get to average them while I was there and get them into my database. And so I don't have ton of notes here, but you do. You tested a couple paddle this week. So you're going to be leading.
We'll just talk about.
You failed. Is there a zipper on that side?
There's a zipper on this side.
All right. So give us the paddles you've been messing with this week.
All right. What are we talking about first? Oh, this one. Because I love titanium.
This is I think maybe third titanium paddle. Let's come out.
Probably mainstream.
Second mainstream one. Yeah. So you had the bread and butter Shogun. They were the first to do titanium.
Which is still my main paddle.
And then like Nexus was like another brand.
Which they have. So they're not only titanium, they have like foam injected cells too.
So they have some other stuff.
He's supposed to send us one of those.
But they, anyways, they did a titanium thing, but Neonic, I think, is a little more well known than they are.
Yep. And they have the flow and
they've been around a little bit longer.
What was the other one we tested? The Force?
The Force.
Force, yeah.
So yeah, they came out with this titanium wide body.
The Flare. All right. So 16 millimeter. It shares all of the same characteristics I love about the Shogun. It's got a soft impact feel. It's more forgiving because obviously wide body and it's faster at the net. So it's honestly like a win-win. The power is less. So I'm debating putting a slice butt cap on it and seeing if that like adds power. I do need to put some weight on it, but overall, everything I love about titanium, it's the titanium and not the paddle. So like I am all in on titanium. I just love the way it feels.
I agree. I think titanium adds more to the paddle than I think Kevlar does. Mm-hmm. Like Kevlar has been a thing for the last year or whatever. It maybe added like a little nuance to paddles, but I think it mattered more of what was behind the Kevlar than the Kevlar itself, whether you had fiberglass or carbon fiber. So with titanium, I feel like it actually gives you a unique feel and it enhances the paddle a little bit. Like it makes it just a little bit softer, but it maintains.
It still has the pop.
Still has that power pop that you get from like a typical carbon fiber thermo, but it just takes the edge off that stiff feel.
It's just not harsh, which I'm like, it's just fun. Like it just feels good.
Yeah. So when I was doing my power and pop for this one, the spin checked out, it was there, but that was like my first impression was like, this is like a standard Shogun.
Yeah. I was like, no, which I was super excited. As soon as I started hitting, I'm like, ooh, yes, I like this.
Plus it just looks good.
It looks good.
It's like a gold.
So I took that photo.
Oh, the one I was like, you didn't take this.
So even better, I posted it in the r/pickleball Discord, and somebody's like, and I was like, oh, I hit this week. It was great. Blah blah. Somebody's like, can you post a real photo, please? I'm like, this is a real photo. I took it.
That's how good it was.
It was good. It was just the lighting. But no, it's a good looking paddle.
Yeah, I know.
They did a good job, and they're cheap too. Like, what is it? Like one? I don't want to say it wrong.
Oh man, I haven't looked up details on it.
I want to say it's like 139.
Come on, man, this is your paddle. You need to be looking up your deets.
I'm so bad at prices though.
But they are generally cheaper.
It is definitely like a affordable paddle.
Yeah, it's 140 range, I think.
So, and then I'm talking to these guys. Funny story. Like they went to high school with my sister.
Oh, what?
Yeah.
No way.
Yeah. So yeah,
they're in California.
Yeah, California.
Right. Yeah, and they also have another one. So this is the Flare. They have another one called the Flare Prime 14, which
that has a different core.
Has a different core.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be like a competitor to
like Gen 3 type
Gen
power.
3 Scorpius.
Yeah.
And we both got emails this week saying the ones we sent you weren't as juicy as we wanted them to be.
Yep.
We're going to reformulate it a little bit. So they're
love how transparent they are. Like that's awesome.
Yeah, really cool about it. So they actually made a run of those. I think they're going to sell through them.
Okay.
And then
the next batch will be hotter.
The next batch will be the characteristics that they wanted.
Mm-hmm.
Although I didn't mind that one still felt pretty good for a 14. It has some decent power pop, but it wasn't what I was expecting. Like to their point, when they sent that email, I was like, yeah, that makes sense. Like I didn't think I was getting as much juice out of it than they were like amping it up to me.
So definitely a winner. I mean, if you like the Shogun, but you want a standard form, there you go. What else did I try this? And the gold is cool. Oh,
is that it?
Yeah, no.
I thought you had another one.
I do. Here it is.
Oh, it's hidden on the other side. Ooh. Okay.
My first Versix.
The Versix. So Versix, full transparency, Pickleball
Central's brand. Yep.
Owns these guys.
So this is Jeannie. Jeannie plays with this paddle.
You know, I can't imagine Jeannie had too much feedback for their paddles.
They said she did though. They said that she wanted a paddle that played more like a tennis racket.
What's that mean?
I don't know. I'm not a tennis player. But I will say, like two-handed backhands with this feel really good for some reason.
So it's really,
I don't know if it's the handle.
It's really long handle, but then it like flares out.
Yeah, so I don't know. It's just like it's super comfortable. And my two-handed backhands were better than they normally are.
Oh, funny. So they did make it tennis.
No, and that's what I was like, is that real? Like they were better on this than they were on this. And I don't know, like maybe it is the flare and with the handle. 15 millimeters.
So like when I compared this to the other paddles, they sent me one too, and I did the testing, but I haven't played with it yet. Like the handle, I mean, if you look at it, most paddles like kind of turn up a little bit.
Yep.
And this one's like a sharp out. So like I think it's it might be advertised as like a 6-inch or a 5.75 handle, but it doesn't feel any longer than like a 5.5 because this like juts out.
Yeah. I have small hands, but like I can like be down here. I can like choke way up.
Still get to
Yeah, I like it. And the 15 millimeter, it has a little more pop than a 16, like what you would expect from 15 millimeter. And they're dirt cheap. Like these are cheap. I think they're like $129 before a code.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're definitely cheaper.
So they did a good job with that. I was surprised. I thought I was gonna hate it. I'm not gonna lie.
I can't remember the numbers on swing weight and stuff. Did you run those?
I need to because I do think the swing weight is a little higher on this.
If I remember correctly, because I ran them and plotted them in my.
That would be my only complaint.
Spreadsheet.
Is it felt high?
I do think the swing weight was higher,
like 125 or higher.
No, I don't think it was that high, but I think it was 120s.
Oh, okay.
You got to get these numbers before you plot these on the pod, bro.
My workbench right now is under my garage is being cleaned, so my workbench is a little inaccessible.
Okay.
So I will get the swing weight numbers.
I have them here.
They're showing sold out though on the website.
They're available on Pickleball Central, I believe. Okay, Versix.
I'm gonna say 123.
Yeah, it's a 6-inch handle, but it feels like others. So mine was 121.
Oh, okay.
But it weighed 8.3 ounces, so it's heavier.
Okay, nice.
But it had a strong twist weight of 6.85.
Yeah. So I like took it out of the package and took it straight to the park when I tried it. I didn't actually do any measurements of anything.
Yeah, sometimes I actually like playing with the paddle before I know the measurements, so it doesn't like influence me, and I get like an opinion of it, and then see what the numbers are, and be like, oh, did this line up or not?
You're like, oh, it's 108. It should be so fast at the net, and then you're like,
oh, this is super fast. Yeah. No, so I am actually interested in that one. I do want to play with that one a little more. We're starting to see more 15s.
Yep.
Like we've noted in the past.
Yep. I think Mavericks was first. Wasn't that the first 15?
Mavericks.
Okay.
They had the 15 millimeter clash that's gotten some attention.
Yeah.
And so this is another 15 millimeter option. 6 years done some 15s, and they got some 15s coming.
Okay.
Here's my Versix story that I was alluding to earlier. So Chris Carson, he's the CMO over at Pickleball Central. Actually, I really like Chris a lot. He's really cool. Everything my perception of Pickleball Central has changed a lot since I've known Chris, because I really like Chris. And anyway, so he's like, hey, we sent the paddle. What'd you think? I was like, hey, I just ran the numbers. I'll let you know. And then anyway, so I go on Versix website, checking it out. And guess what they have on their website? Some tungsten tape. And so remember ages ago,
I remember when we talked about this.
And I was like, oh, Pickleball Central's working on some tungsten.
Yep.
So they don't want to carry mine, or they're like, oh, we probably won't carry it because of that. So fast forward to today. I don't know how long it's been. I sent a text to Chris. I was like, hey, I saw you sell some tungsten. You didn't change much. LOL. Like that's all I said, because it's literally my same 1 gram.
Same packaging.
It's the same, my old packaging. It had the measuring on the bottom. It was 60 inches long, 1/2 inch, 1 gram. Like it was my product, right?
Yeah.
And so I was like, like we've met a few times, and he knows I'm pretty lighthearted, and I was just 100% joking. I was like, so I said that snarky remark to him.
Did he call you?
So he calls me like 5 minutes later. He's like, bro, so sorry. He contacted the guys that made it, and they're like, yeah, we the manufacturer we were working with sent us samples, and it was Braydon stuff, and we liked it. So it was just just the same thing. And so he felt really bad, and I was like, Chris, like I'm totally just joking. Like I feel good where I'm at. I'm changing. I've already updated my packaging. I've got new stuff in the works. Like I'm not afraid of a little competition. Like you're not the first to do this. And I'm like, it's totally fine. Like I was just joking. He's like, oh, good. I know. Anyways, he's like, send me he's like, I still don't feel good about it. I don't like that. It was just like the exact same. Send me your wholesale pricing. I'm going to push this through to try and get tungsten on Pickleball Central website. So I was like, oh, look at that. I get rewarded for being a snarky little butt. That's cool.
It works all the time for me. That's awesome.
And it was really cool of Chris to respond the way he did, even though I was just like it's fair. Like it's fine. Like you could do what you want. Like I don't have a patent on it or anything, And anyways, they were really cool about it. And anyway, I might start selling it on Pickleball Central here.
That would be nice.
Yeah. So that's my
I like it.
My Versix story.
I like it. All right. How much time we got? All right, we're almost done. But did you go through this list you sent me of these paddles to make fun of? I was dying.
We're out of time now. The gist of it was we didn't have a ton of time, or didn't have a lot of paddle information for this week. So I pulled up a list from,
not that long ago.
Not that long ago.
This year.
Was it Forbes?
Yeah, it's Forbes, and it's like this year, but it's still saying.
It was like 3 months ago. This was like a list from Forbes saying
best paddles
you can get.
Yeah, and it was like, we don't need to pull it up, but it was like Head Radical, not the Night one, like the old Head Radical, the Z5.
Yeah, I had the Z5 in there still. That's like the best overall paddle.
I was like, I'm like, these guys could have just opened YouTube and found a better list.
I know. It was really funny.
Like, who's writing for Forbes? Like, they obviously don't play pickleball.
But like, it just shows like the disconnect of these like major publications just trying to get some pickleball content versus just like people who know what they're talking about. Anyways, I thought the list was funny.
Yeah, it was good. It was good.
And I found a few other lists of people who had bigger brands. Some of them were okay.
Yeah.
But it was quite, that one in particular was pretty comical.
Yeah. So if you want to laugh, pull up Forbes and look at best pickleball paddles.
Yeah, it's pretty funny. That'll conclude it for the day.
That's it. Thanks, guys.
See ya.